Hey, what's going on? I'm Bill DeWeese, pro voiceover talent and voiceover coach, and I'm so very glad that you stopped by to check out the video today. And by the way, in case you didn't know, you have stumbled upon a channel that has literally hundreds and hundreds and yet hundreds of videos that are created to help you become and stay a profitable voiceover business. That's what it's, otherwise, if you're not making money, it's a hobby. And that's okay if you want to do it as a hobby. But if you're looking to be profitable, you found the right channel. So while you're here, make sure you hit the bell. And so you get notifications when I release new content. Subscribe if you like the video. I hope you'll give it a thumbs up, and I hope you'll share it as well. And when you take some time and go through the videos as well, I think you'll find today a very rich resource of information and insights that will help you enjoy the journey because you'll be more profitable on your voiceover journey. So, what is one of the big things that I get asked about and that people deal with when it comes to getting into voiceover? Well, it's something that I think we've all had to deal with at some point, at least most of us, and that is nervousness, stage fright, mic fright. There's something about one of these that kind of puts us in a different headspace and in a different emotional space. So today I want to talk about 3 things that can help you to overcome your fright of this. And maybe it's not so much that you're afraid the microphone is going to hurt you, but it's what waits for you on the other side of that microphone that makes you a little bit nervous. Will they like me? Can I actually do that? Am I good enough? Maybe I really suck and I just don't even realize it. I mean, I'm sure you've got 1,000 questions going through your mind, and that's okay. It's perfectly normal because we all do. You can do this, and these 3 steps will help. And I'm going to share it with you as an acronym, although it's not like one of those catchy, highly memorable acronyms, but maybe it'll help a little bit. And the initials are this: R, R, O. R, 2 R's and an O. And the first one, and by the way, the third one that I'm going to share with you is probably something you've never heard before. And it's something that I bring with me from my background in corporate training. And a lot of people don't realize this, but I was actually working on my PhD in education with an emphasis on training and performance improvement before I got into voiceover, and was working in the corporate space in training, working with primarily Fortune 500 companies, creating high performance training environments. So, any tip or trick that you can get, and it's good to look outside of the industry that you spend a lot of time in, because oftentimes there's a lot of cool stuff going on out there that you may not hear in here. I'm going to share that with you. It's my 3rd tip, okay? So hang around for that. First tip is this: R, realize. And I've already touched on this. Realize that it's not just you. And it's easy to feel that way. It's like you think, oh my gosh, there are so many people that have been successful in this, and why would I think that I succeed? I hate my voice, and I can't imagine that anybody would ever want to hire me. But yet I want to do this voiceover thing. Well, realize that most everybody has felt that way at some point, myself included. And I think especially for those of us who are introverts, which I am. My personality tends to be more introverted than outroverted. I don't feel like I need to be the life of the party. I don't need or seek out attention. I don't need to be out front. I can do it, and I feel like I do it well. It's a gift, a talent that I've developed over the years, but it's not my go-to. So I have to work really hard at it. And it's funny because over the years, and I'm a musician, and I've been a radio personality, and I've done a lot of things that have put me in very uncomfortable situations. And one of the things that people have always told me, they say, wow, you seem so incredibly at ease and comfortable in what you do. But yet if they had only known how I felt on the inside. So sometimes, you have to kind of fake it, but it helps to know that you're not the only person. I remember early on in my voiceover journey, whenever I would do a directed session where a client, maybe they were on the telephone or on Skype or later ISDN, and then later or now Source Connect, where I would be so nervous. I would be, I have such stage fright going into a session that when the session was done, I would literally, I sweat through my clothes. My clothes would be wet with sweat because that's how nervous and uptight I was. But what you come to realize that it's not just you. It's that it's part, welcome to the human family. These are things that we all go through. And yeah, there's the few outliers. There's a few folks out there that really love the sound of their voice and they love for people to hear them. And in reality, most people who are that in love with their voice probably don't have good reason to be. So first of all, just realize that you're not in this boat alone. You're not the only person to feel this way, including many and most of the most successful people in voiceover have experienced the same things that you're experiencing right now, and maybe still do to a certain degree. But it does get better with time. So number one, you have to realize, again, it's not just you. Everybody feels that way. Secondly, another R, repeat. So realize and now repeat. Repeat what? Well, you have to do and repeat the things that frighten you the most. That is the only way to grow. Growth doesn't come through comfort. Growth comes through discomfort. Sometimes it comes through downright terror of doing the things that we're most afraid of. And it really comes down to what are you compelled more to do? Are you compelled more to achieve and to move into those things that you want to do, that you want to become? Or do you feel more strongly about just staying comfortable? Because if you're going to stay comfortable, you may be comfortable at a certain level, and on another deeper level, you won't be, because you'll know you're not doing things that you want to do, that deep down inside you know you have the capability to do if you're only given the chance, if you only gave yourself a chance to do it. So you have to do those things that you're afraid of. How do you do that? Well, I don't know, you just hold on tight for the ride and expect. Know that it's not going to be easy. Know that you're going to be terrified. Know that, like me, you may come out of a session literally dripping with sweat because of the anxiety of it all. That's that's growth. That is growth. But when you do that, it's amazing the confidence that you build. And today, one of my favorite things to do is directed sessions, because I've done enough of them, probably thousands at this point, where I know that, and not that I never get nervous. Of course, you work with a new client, you never know exactly what to expect, but I have a confidence now, an underlying confidence that I have done this so many times before. I know I can do it again, and I know that I'm good at it because I've done it enough times, and you will too. But you have to jump into the fiery furnace. You just have to. Otherwise, you don't get uncomfortable. You do not grow. And I wish there was an easy way to do it, and there's not, except that you do it. And then you do it again. And I'm sure psychologists have a name for this. I think there is actually a name, something like desensitization therapy or something like that, where you do the thing you're most afraid of. And it's the hard thing to do. But throughout my life, again, as an introvert and somebody who does not really seek the spotlight, it's something that I've had to do through practice. And again, you can do it as well. Okay, let's move on to tip 3. Something you may have never heard of before. There's a concept in training, if you ever have worked in instructional design or training, that is called over practice. The concept of over practice is that here's the general idea. The thing that you're trying to learn, you do in a overstated fashion. So in other words, let me give you an example. We're in baseball season. This is being recorded during during the World Series. So let's use that as an example. So if I'm a baseball player and I want to work on my batting skills, what I may do is go into the batting cage, and since the fastest pitchers, human pitchers, can only pitch right around 100 miles per hour, give or take a mile per hour, like at the highest speed, I want to practice at a higher speed. So I'll use a pitching machine and maybe set it up to 105 or 106 miles per hour. So it's going to be faster. Those balls are going to be coming at me faster than they ever would be in real life. So the idea is that once I get used to those pitches, once I step into a batter's box and take on a pitcher that can pitch 100 miles per hour, it's not going to feel so intense because I've seen faster. It's like another baseball analogy. The guys who are on deck they will have maybe a couple of bats in hand, or they'll have one of those weighted donuts on the end of their bat. So when they swing it, it feels heavier than it will feel when they go up to the plate. Now, in a business environment, let's say like in a manufacturing facility, if you're working like on an assembly line, perhaps there's training where you're trained by doing the skill that you're going to do faster than you'll have to do it in a regular scenario. So how does that apply to, and those are just a few examples, we could go and it applies to all kinds of training and all kinds of different scenarios. So how do we apply that in voiceover? Well, you can overtrain in voiceover by taking, let's say, a script that you're working on and exaggerate every aspect of that script. Because what we want to do is we want to basically retrain our muscles. Think of it this way. When we get a script, let's say we're auditioning, or maybe it's even, we're even recording as a paid job. we tend to operate within a comfort zone, maybe not consciously, but subconsciously. We operate in a lane. There are bumpers on this lane, on one side and on the other. And if we begin to veer, and I'm talking about from a performance standpoint, if we start to veer outside of that comfort zone, we hit that bumper. And when we hit the bumper, it feels like we're being too dramatic. We're talking too fast, or we're talking too slow, or we're being too intense, or whatever. And that bumper will push us back to the middle where we stay very comfortable. So it feels like that we have this broad range, but in reality, we stay right here in this very comfortable space. Well, when you overtrain, you purposefully take yourself out of that space. So one of the little tricks that I use, this overtraining trick that I use when I'm coaching my students, and I do it myself when I'm doing auditions, is when I have the script in front of me or the script in front of them, I will have that student read it faster, louder, at a higher rate of intensity and excitement than they ever would. Totally inappropriate for, we would never submit an audition that way. But let's say, for instance, the script calls for something that's very sensitive. It's more of an intimate read. Healthcare would come to mind, or something where it's very much a one-to-one, very close feel kind of script. But if you essentially yell that script at the top of your lungs, you read it as fast as you can, as excited as you can, to the point where you've lost all control. You're stumbling over the words, and it feels so weird. It feels awful. It feels uncomfortable. That's okay. But if you push yourself outside of that realm of comfort, once you've read through the script in that totally ridiculous way where the neighbors can hear you and people think you've lost your mind, then you go back to the beginning and then you read the script for real. And it's amazing how much better you'll be, because you've taken yourself out of your comfort zone, and it's done two things. Number one, it helps you overcome the fear, because you've done something that's already taken you out of that state of mind of fear. And now you're worried about a whole other thing when you're overtraining, because now it just feels like you've gone crazy when you're reading it. But it does two things. Again, it helps you to feel more comfortable with what you're doing. You don't feel the tension that you did before, the stage fright or the mic fright. And it also makes you sound and communicate much more naturally, because now you're out of your head. You're out of your head and more into your heart. And if you can do those three things, you can repeat the things that terrifies you, and then you over practice. It's amazing how, number one, much more comfortable you can be and much more confidence you can gain, but secondly, how much better you'll be at what you do. So what I want to encourage you to do, and I'm not saying there aren't other strategies or things that you can do, but I think if you look at these three things, realize you're not the only one, repeat the thing that makes you the most afraid, and then over practice it, I think you'll be amazed at the results. As a matter of fact, I want you to use it beginning today, and then I want you to come back and leave a note here in the comments. Leave a comment. Let me know how it goes, because I want to hear how this has affected you in your ability to perform. All right. Thanks so much for stopping by and checking out the video. Make sure you go down below in the description, because I've got a lot of resources you should definitely check out. I appreciate you stopping by, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.